Bulbasaur here with another update about the shit show that is the 2020 primary. I come bearing horrible news. As we already know, I think everybody knows who voted for Yang in the primary. He's dropped out of the race. This is all probably, you know, not news to most of you. But the thing that's super important to take from a lot of this is that the DNC is super fucking corrupt. No. So, look, I think that New Hampshire is a finicky state, right? I think that Andrew had a very good chance in New Hampshire. He played his cards right. I just don't think the time is right, unfortunately, for universal basic income. I thought maybe the idea would catch on more. But that's also, I think, me giving too much faith to the ability for the general public to catch on to ideas and understand concepts. Because the first knee-jerk reaction, universal basic income, automatically is it's socialism, and no, it's bad. Because if somebody's giving you something free for nothing, a lot of times, the automatic response is that this doesn't happen. We don't live in a world of abundance. We live in a world of the opposite. And because of that, people can't possibly fathom what it would be like if things were better for their situation. So a lot of times people look at it as like, that's just bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. When in reality, if you really think about it, and that's the problem with the thinking harder part of this whole thing is I love Andrew Yang. I love him so much. He's a good guy and a really amazing candidate. But I think he put too much faith in America's cognitive abilities. Unfortunately, we just don't have an intelligent enough society or base. I think that maybe if he were to try to spike and run third party, but I know he's not going to do that because he's terrified of Trump becoming president again because of the decline. But if he was smart, if he was really smart, he would know the Democratic Party is not going to get behind universal basic income. And he should be going to the Republicans with this. Because the Republicans are grasping straws at this point. And say what you want, the Trump party is not popular. I know a lot of you guys voted Trump. A lot of you guys may not have. But it's not like Trump's some rock star. Like, people don't like him. People are, there are people that like him, obviously. He fills stadiums in an exponential fashion. Quickly fills stadiums. And we don't have a candidate that does that other than Bernie right now. And I say we as if I'm still part of the Democratic Party. I'm not. I will be quickly registering today back to Libertarian. I've never really registered a Libertarian Party, but I've always voted Libertarian. So I've always been Libertarian since, as long as I can remember. Ron Paul was probably the first Libertarian that I really got behind and started campaigning for. I didn't ever knock on doors at canvass, though. And to be honest, I really wasn't that much into politics at the time. I think when you have a kid, it changes some of your perspectives on the needs and wants and the must-haves. But so, for a few of you burners out there, the guys that are going to Bernie, you're probably like, why the fuck are you going Libertarian? Like, you're just throwing away your vote. On principle alone is a lot of times the way I vote. I don't vote because I think I can get somebody to win. I vote based on my beliefs and my morals and how I feel. Now, I have voted for Bernie in the past, and I might vote for him in the general election. I might. I really don't know. But if it's Pete Buttigieg, I'm not voting for that fucking guy. Fuck that noise. And I won't vote for Trump either. Now, where I was going, I went on a tangent there, like I do normally. My fucking Bulbasaur hat. That Trump should get behind universal basic income if he was smart. I'm not saying I like Trump. I don't like Trump. I really don't like Trump. I'm not a Trump supporter by any means. But I can also see things logically and call him as I sees it, right? Calls him as I sees it. I'm a whale biologist. You may not know that reference, but if you do, put it in the comments down below. I think that if Trump got behind universal basic income, he would really garner a ton of support, I think, from libertarians, or if you were to paint it as a negative income tax, anything like that. I don't think that's going to happen because of his Republican colleagues, although Trump really does things without asking them. Like, he's not beholden to Republicans, and I'll give him that. He's not really beholden to anybody but his crazy, fucking, insane brain. Like, he is squirrely up there, and I don't think that he really follows what the the establishment wants him to do. So that's an advantage. I mean, he legalized hemp for production mass, and there's a lot of benefits to the bomb that has been the political system. There's a lot of negatives too. I mean, stacking Supreme Court and federal judges is just a whole list of shit that he's done that I'm not on board with. At the same time, if Trump was smart and got behind universal basic income, he could take those voters back, the UBI voters, and probably gain a lot of Democrats. Just on the principle that UBI could work. But the problem is, and why most of you progressives won't get behind it, and why I can see why I would be very skeptical about it also, is that he's trying to cut welfare programs across the board. This would be a very easy way for him to set that up for them to take those programs out entirely, leaving people with nothing. And I think that's the concern, is the Trojan horse concept of UBI. I don't think that if he wants to gain popularity, that's the way to do it. But then again, I don't think really he thinks that linear or calculated. I think he's an impulse on the moment kind of guy, which I can relate to that. Oh boy, I can't believe I admitted to relating to Donald Trump. I can relate to that impulse decision-making thing. But then again, I'm not president, and I wouldn't fucking run for president because I can't manage my way out of a wet paper bag, let alone the country. Like, I managed a territory in the Northeast for Samsung and home appliances for like 4 years, and I did okay because it's abstract and I could really think outside of the box, and because of that I was able to grow the market. But I would never want to be a big manager of like people and like human lives, and fuck that. I mean, it's just fuck that. It's too much responsibility, too much stress. So it really takes a special type of narcissist to want to be president. Now, Yang, I don't think wanted to be president. I felt like he felt like he had to. And I bet it's a huge relief now that he's like, oh, glad that's fucking over with. Like, he got his point across. He got his message to the mainstream. Like, he did a good job, the same way Bernie did a great job changing the political landscape after Hillary. Whether you agree with one or the other, there's a lot of things I don't agree with Yang, actually. But I like him as a person, and I like his need to bring people together and the patriotism that he exudes, the want to help everyone, not just himself and the people that agree with him politically, but everyone. And so that's where I stand. That's where I'm going to leave most of you guys. I'm going to keep making these videos every day if I can, because, the goal here was to start kind of getting kind of a ball rolling, so to speak, when it comes to politics and my own personal music and so on and so forth. That being said, these videos are probably going to be a little less politically involved in the upcoming months. And I think the reason for that being is that I'm fucking done with politics for a few minutes. No, I shouldn't say that. I'm always going to be politically involved, and we'll talk about Bernie. We'll talk about a lot of these things. But for me, Cuffy Proctor, I am all set with being stressed out about Democrats and Republicans for a while, and I could give a fuck less how the Democrat race goes at this point. That being said, if Bernie gets the nom, look, I'll vote for him. But at this point, I'm not phone banking. I'm not knocking on doors or any of that shit for the Democratic Party. Not gonna happen. That being said, I will definitely take that time to do so in my local community. And that's where I want to leave this, is that presidents promise a lot. They make a lot of big promises. Yang promised me twice that he'd do an interview podcast. He didn't hold to those promises. He's a busy guy. Am I going to hold it to him? No. At the same time, word is important. And what we say and we do matters at a national level, at a local level. So, although I'm not upset about it, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to ruin things. And who knows, maybe I'll still get that podcast. Maybe he'll remember and want to come back on the show anyway. What is a concern for me is that we can rally around an idea all we want, but unless we're getting up and we're pushing forward with that idea, it doesn't really make as much sense. It really, is just an abstract idea. And until it gets into motion, until somebody believes in something so strongly, like Yang, we don't see that needle move. But he's a good example of where someone can come from outside the party and move the needle, or come from outside the two-party system and move the needle. But we've got to get people excited about stuff. So, sure, libertarians are going to have me for a while. Not because I agree with them on everything. I find a hard time agreeing with anybody on everything. But I am pretty left libertarian. I don't like the government interfering with a lot. I really don't have a lot of faith in welfare programs. I'm on them now. They're a fucking mess and a nightmare for people who have major disabilities and stuff, especially like walking disabilities. Whereas like if this was a mental disability, I'd probably already be proved by now, because nobody wants to get sued. The federal government doesn't want to get sued by people when they, don't get on disability and then kill themselves, and then the family comes back and be like, they were trying to get help, trying to get on disability, and you guys fucking pushed them off because of bureaucratic nonsense, and now they're dead. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I do think welfare programs and SSI and all these things are not really equipped to handle what's going on right now. And that being said, I'm always going to be libertarian in the aspect that I do think voluntarism solves a lot more than putting a gun against someone's head and forcing them to pay you taxes. I think that we naturally do so. We naturally want to help each other. Not everybody's going to, but those people probably are finding ways to not pay taxes anyway, right? They're going to try to do what they can and not be the most, straightforward about those things anyway. And then you have people like me who don't feel like I should have to pay taxes, but I do it anyway, because it's just what you do, and nobody wants to end up in jail. But at the same time, I do think that voluntarism can solve a lot of these things, and I think that our approach really needs to be driven towards local community. So again, I'm going to leave you with this: vote locally. Every single one of us look to a president for promises and ideas and all of that stuff. And we get, galvanized because of a president with a new big idea. But there are people with those same big ideas in your fucking community right now that you could vote for and make a difference in your community and see change in your personal life. That's the thing I think that makes me so frustrated, is that all of us are going to be, what do you mean you're not going to door knock? You're going to knock for the Libertarian, but why aren't you knocking for Bernie? Because I don't think the things that Bernie is going to do is going to get implemented fast enough to make a real impact in my life. And I feel like if I spend more time in my local community garnering that type of focus toward local community, and get people interested and involved in local politics. When I was voting yesterday, I got approached by this guy from the library in my local town, and I was picking up books from donation. They had tables of books. And we're picking up all these different books that were free, basically. Just take them, donate what you can, books and movies and all that. Now, I only had like $7 in my pocket in cash to give them. But the guy's like, no, take up on this stuff. We really need to get rid of it. And anything you can do can help. But more importantly than the donation, we need your vote. I'm like, your vote? I just voted, right? No. Local community for the library in my town, in New Hampshire, Barrington, New Hampshire. All of these local towns and elections and libraries, they matter more than who you vote for president. So much more. So when March and April rolls around and they start doing your local elections or whatever it is, get involved. Get involved in your local town elections. And you'd be surprised how easy it is and how not hard it is. How easy it is to rise to the top in your local political community. Because people are like you, disaffected, and think, well, fuck all that. I'm not volunteering. Well, I'm not doing that. I don't know. Who cares about? And because there's nobody there trying to take that seat, you can do it. And you can make real changes in your community. So just don't restrict yourself to what you think is possible. Don't get yourself down, Yang Gang. Don't be depressed and stressed and frustrated about Yang losing the nomination. Because what really matters is your local communities. Sure, this could have made a big impact, but still, you got to think it is a national level. It takes a lot for this stuff to come down to our local levels. You start locally and work yourself up, trickle up economy, but in the sense of political activism. You create a universal basic foundation with political activists and motivated people, and you get them motivated in your community, and you run and you keep climbing and you do that ladder. Now, maybe argue that Yang could have done what he did and that would have worked better. I don't think it would have. I think that he needed to do exactly what he did, and with no notice, he skyrocketed. He did very well and got that entire, idea discussed now. And Bernie's going to take it to the main stage. He's going to take it all the way because he's thinking about those things. He does involve these. Now, we may not agree on the solutions, but he's now thinking about it. And that's because of our boy. It's because of everything we did. There would be no discussion of automation, UBI, and this entire impact to the voting system and what people are talking about is because of all of you. And sure, Andrew Yang catalyzed that. But what you did, all of you, made the difference. All of you did the work. All of you knocked the doors and spent the time on the phone and yanged your friends and changed people from Trump to Yang. Like, you did amazing things, and you have to, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I don't get teared up a lot, but I've gone through a lot in the last year. I've lost a lot in the last year. You need to be positive and driven moving forward in your local community, because it really, truly matters what you do in your community, who you vote for in your community. Your local library and school depend on you. Your community depends on you and your activism and your motivation, and you're willing to go knock on doors that you don't know. You keep driving, you keep yanging people. It's just not about Yang, about new ideas. Just because he's not running for president anymore doesn't mean we need to stop pushing for what we believe in our local communities. I believe strongly that the artisan community and the economy of the future is going to be the jobs of the future. These jobs of creation, jobs of local artisanship, local craft making, those things, because it's the pendulum swing. But all of that starts with you and your economy, in your local community. So you keep yanging people. It doesn't have to be about a person or a specific idea. It could be about you becoming a city council person. So I went over longer than I wanted to be, but I felt like this should be closer to 20 minutes because this is an important video. I feel very passionate about what I the time and the effort that I put in. But I also feel passionately that we can make changes here in our local community, starting at the ground up with your friends and your family and your neighbors in your local city hall. So again, this is now my focus and career. Abstract Transmissions podcast is what I put my time and effort into, and the band's Ambient Discord are all very important to me. But I'm going to continue making these videos and talking about mental health and talking about politics and talking about UBI and automation and music because I feel like these jobs are the jobs of tomorrow. So if you liked what you saw before and you want to support somebody in your way of thought and that type of artistic creation and artisan perspective, then subscribe and like below and all that. Spread the word, share the video if you can. But by all means, don't despair. Things are going to get better, and that's the idea that we need to take from this, from Yang, a mindset of abundance. Thank you.